Thank you for listening to the Titletown Scanner. We have a few recent updates to share with everyone. One is not incredibly recent, but it is from this month. We also have an update on the case against Rodger Goddard, the code enforcement officer over in Douglas, who is charged with illegally tracking a citizen, essentially. So, on our first recent update in Valdosta, I wanted to bring up this article. A Valdosta man exposes himself, urinates behind a business, and then shoots a man who asked him to leave. So this happened on June 9th at approximately 5:50 p.m. Valdosta police officers responded to an address in the 400 block of South Fry Street after a citizen called 911 to report a shooting. When officers arrived to the business, they found a 53-year-old man with a gunshot wound to his arm. South Georgia Medical Center Emergency Medical Services arrived and transported him to the hospital for treatment. So it says through witness and surveillance video recovered in the area, detectives identified Javier Tarpley, I believe is maybe how you pronounce it, a 62-year-old male, as the offender. The investigation revealed that he had gone behind a business, exposed himself, and then began to urinate. When the victim told him to stop and leave, Tarpley pulled out a gun, a firearm, and shot him. So on Tuesday, June 11th, detectives obtained an arrest warrant and they charged him with aggravated assault, felony assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and public indecency. After obtaining arrest warrants, detectives located Tarpley at his residence. He was taken into custody and transported to the Lowndes County Jail. The victim has actually been released from the hospital as well, so that's good news. But yeah, just always keep in mind if you have something happen, don't be afraid to report it because there is security camera all over. I mean, you can't even think of all the different places where footage could be pulled from. Um, Especially within the last year or so, a lot more places have surveillance footage. There's been a lot of reports of people around Valdosta experiencing suspicious, maybe lewd behavior, intimidation when they're out with their children, as far as men following them around and looking pretty suspicious. So just keep it in mind, report it if you have something happen. And also on June 13th, the Barnesville man that was accused of sending death threats to officials in Valdosta and other cities, he was sentenced. His name was Travis Leroy Ball. He pled guilty to one count of mailing threatening communications. And the U.S. Department of Justice actually got involved in this case. He was sentenced to 60 months in prison. Now, I bring this up because there are a lot of people who have issues with officials, civil servants, and others in the Lowndes County area. And, it's kind of widespread in Georgia. There's a certain mentality there among law enforcement, and it's not always helpful. So, for either party, their jobs would be easier if the mentality was a little bit different at times. So, I just want to remind people, don't take it into your own hands. Handle it through the court system. Handle it by documenting things very well and using the legal system in the way that it's meant to be used. Sometimes it takes a little while, but it's worth it because you don't want to end up being the one going to jail for anything like that. Not saying that this was the case, but I can see this easily happening with um, a lot of people in the area. So I was just going to bring up one more part here in this article. He also wrote a letter to the Upson County Sheriff's Office in July of 2023, claiming to be an FBI agent working on a top secret case and demanding that his photos and personal information be deleted from jail records. Um, Sounds like a very interesting individual. However, in a more everyday sort of context, I can see this happening. People get frustrated with a legal system that doesn't seem to be working, and I get it, but never, never threaten, never take things to a level that could um, cause concern or cause for charges to be filed like this. So, Rodger Goddard, there's an update, a small update in his case. He has legal counsel who has filed into his case. And I do find it interesting. The lawyer that he has had file into his case is Alan David Tucker, who is from the Brunswick, Georgia area. And he actually has a little bit of a, not a huge history, but he has a history of defending people in positions of authority. So that's that's also interesting. Not like I said, not like that's what he's built his whole career on or anything else. And let's just state one thing really quickly. Everyone is due and should have legal counsel. That's why we have a system that allows public defenders to step in when someone cannot afford otherwise to have a a fitting, acceptable, reasonable legal defense in their case. So everybody should have legal counsel. Nobody is expected to know the ins and outs of the law. And, that's why going pro se when people do, it's just like, oh, that's usually, that's why their mental health is immediately questioned. It's just not a good idea for people to have to defend themselves in court. Everybody needs a defense attorney. You cannot always um, judge a defense attorney you know, based off of who they defend or what case they defend. Some of them have a choice, some of them don't have a choice. Anyhow, just want to put that out there. Everybody deserves a proper, fair trial and a legal defense, and defense attorneys are very important to our system. Now, defense attorneys get a bad name because a lot of times they're spinning facts, and people don't like that. People don't like that magician slip of the hand appearance, and that's what they often do get. So, there's a very fickle relationship there between the public and defense attorneys, but they're very important, and you will be thankful for your defense attorney if you end up in, a position where you need one. Hopefully, that not everybody is always satisfied with the outcome or satisfied with their defense attorney, but anyhow, that being said, we're not here to throw any shade on Rodger Goddard's defense, because we hope that there is a fair trial, and we hope that the facts are treated for what they are, because I do find that this situation is disturbing. And I have seen other things in Rodger Goddard's history that, I hope will be factored in at the end of the day, because it does appear that he has abused his authority a few times, and that should not go unnoticed. So first, I was just going to bring up that this is one case where the work of his defense attorney can be seen. This goes all the way back to 2012 when a Brunswick City Commissioner, James Brooks, he had a bribery case. Now, this article here from Jacksonville.com from back in 2012 says Brunswick City Commissioner James Brooks will remain in the Camden County Jail at least 11 more days after a magistrate denied bail on his bribery charge. Brooks could pose a risk to residents in Camden and Glenn counties. Magistrate Jennifer E. Lewis refused to release him on bail. Lewis issued her ruling after a half-hour hearing in which Brooks sat shackled before her in striped jail clothing. Near the ending of the hearing, District Attorney Jackie Johnson said that there is more to come than a single bribery charge in which Brooks is accused of taking $300 to have a drug conviction removed from the record of a man who wanted to be a police officer. Oh, very interesting. Okay. Johnson described the investigation as a probe into an ongoing criminal enterprise that's been going on for a long time. Brooks's lawyer, Alan David Tucker of Brunswick, said Brooks would have to be a mind reader in order to know who the witnesses are, that he would have to assume it is every city employee and try to influence them all. That's a stretch. Of course, he doesn't know who the witnesses are, Johnson later said. There are many. They have witnessed acts of bribery and instances where Brooks had tried to influence the workings of a city government. The court didn't ask Johnson to elaborate, and she declined to do so when asked by the Times Union. The Reverend Kenneth Atkins, not sure how he pronounces that, the pastor of the Greater Dimensions Christian Fellowship Church in Brunswick, said that Brooks is an associate pastor there and described him as a friend and confidant. I do believe he'll do whatever the court tells him to do. It became clear that Johnson didn't stop with checks into Brooks's background when, in response to her questions, Atkins acknowledged that he, like Brooks, is a convicted felon. Yeah, no biggie. He also said that he still owes his former church, First Jordan Grove Baptist Church, $10,000 for spending church funds on trying to secure a daycare center. Brooks's wife, Alicia, said their two children, 4 and 12, need him at home. He's a good man. He's a good father and a good husband. Alicia Brooks said that she was shocked when her husband was arrested. Said that they had no problems at home. Their roof leaks badly. Her car has been in repair at the garage for 7 months because they can't afford to get it out, and her house has no hot water. Their children have to heat water on the stove, she said. What? She did not say how the release of her husband would improve any of these conditions that have continued for months. When Johnson questioned her, Alicia Brooks said that Brooks's brother had returned the Glock pistol that her husband carried before his arrest. She also said that he carried a police radio and often wore his city commissioner badge. Ooh, who else do we know used to do that? Alec Murdaugh. Tucker told Lewis that he wants a hearing because Georgia law says that a public official can't be charged with bribery for taking money to do something outside the power of his office. Oh, those little finer rules. I've been advised as soon as he's released today that they're going to go up and arrest him in Glenn County. But Brooks was not released as neither side got what they wanted. Johnson wanted Brooks held for 30 days so investigators could seal up all of the state's witnesses, and Tucker wanted him released on Monday. Brooks had about a dozen supporters in the courtroom who said that they wanted Brooks released. Among them was the mayor, who was upset at Lewis's actions. This man is not a threat to nobody, Thomas said, the mayor. Tucker said it was ludicrous to think that Brooks was a flight risk on the sole bribery charge. Are you going to leave your family and friends for a case that's going to be thrown out, he asked. And I mean, it's a good question since so much in Georgia does get thrown out. Okay, let's move forward. Let's jump ahead to 2013. Here is another case where Alan David Tucker was involved. A city official in Georgia has been arrested on charges of willfully obstructing law enforcement and influencing the witness in a case involving a 13-month-old boy who was fatally shot. David Allen Tucker, an attorney representing Brunswick City Commissioner and Mayor Pro Tem, who we have here, James Henry Brooks Sr. So this is a follow-up it looks like, from another case. Um, Brooks was arrested for stepping down between police and the mother of a let's back up here. Brooks was arrested for stepping between police and the mother of a 17-year-old suspect when police tried speaking with her during a court appearance. Sheriff's officials say Brooks is being held in the Glenn County Jail. So this was the other charge that was going to be brought up in the last case. He's being held on $1,256 dollar bond and on the obstruction charge, and is being held without bond on the charge of influencing a witness. Tucker says at the district attorney's office Friday morning, he will be there to try to get Brooks out of jail. So then we fast forward, and this is a much more well-known issue. So for anyone who remembers the Ahmaud Arbery shooting, that was a huge, huge case that was seen all over the map. So I won't go back into it. If you live in Georgia, you probably know about the Ahmaud Arbery case in one way or another. So, longtime criminal defense attorney who says he leaked the video of Ahmaud Arbery's shooting to bring the truth to light has been caught up in a swirling controversy himself. If we tell the truth, we get justice, Alan David Tucker of Tucker and Browning said Tuesday in a phone interview from his office in downtown Brunswick. It's why we take an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that is him as well. An attorney based in coastal Georgia says he leaked the violent video of the two men shooting and killing an unarmed black man who was jogging through the Brunswick neighborhood of Satilla Shores. Attorney Alan David Tucker told Georgia Public Broadcasting News in an email that he didn't release the February 23rd cell phone video to exonerate Gregory Michael and his son, Travis McMichael. Gregory McMichael. Tucker did not say how he obtained the video. There had been very little information provided by the police department or the district attorney's office, but there was an entirely too much speculation, rumor, false narratives, and outright lies surrounding this event, Tucker wrote in the email. The criminal defense attorney said his firm, Tucker and Browning, has not been retained to represent anyone in the case. Instead, Tucker said his motivation comes from pride in the community and his 39-year career. I love this community and I've spent my career helping people in this community, Tucker said. My sole purpose in releasing the video was absolute transparency because my community was being ripped apart by the erroneous accusations and assumptions. I find this very interesting, considering a lot of different connections here. So anyhow, the graphic video was leaked earlier this week. The article says, keep in mind this is from like back in 2020. An unidentified witness filmed Arbery apparently being pursued by the McMichaels in a white pickup truck. In the video, the elder McMichael is seen in the bed of the truck holding a handgun, while Arbery wrestles with the 34-year-old Travis McMichael, who is holding a shotgun. 3 shots are heard before Arbery falls to the ground, never to recover. The Atlantic Judicial Circuit DA, Tom Durden, is now handling the case after 2 district attorneys have recused themselves. The GBI assigned the case to 3 supervisory level investigators on May the 6th. This would again be 2020. Gregory and Travis McMichael told police that Arbery matched the description of somebody caught on security camera committing recent break-ins in the neighborhood. So that's also an association of his defense attorney. The video, Tucker said, his firm released appears to contradict the notion that the McMichaels were making a citizen's arrest and has activists outraged. The video has the power of truth because in these situations, the victim is dead. and you only have people who killed him as the witness. So, another interesting claim from 2016 against Alan David Tucker. This happened in civil court, and it appears to be a former employee. Now, it says that while appearing in the plaintiff's complaint against Alan David Tucker, the pleadings reflect that the actual name of this entity is Alan David Tucker ESQ. The clerk of court is directed to correct the name of this defendant on the docket. Let's go down here to the actual claim. So it says from approximately November 2013 until February 2014, the plaintiff has worked as a food preparer and a waitress at defendant Twin Oaks restaurants. At all relevant times, Twin Oaks was owned and operated by defendant Darlene Waters and her husband, William Waters. It also calls him Dub in here, of course. During the course of her employment, plaintiff began to believe that Darlene Waters and William Waters were managing Twin Oaks in a racially discriminatory manner. Plaintiff voiced these concerns to and sought legal advice from Tucker, a regular patron of Twin Oaks and licensed attorney practicing through Alan David Tucker ESQ. According to plaintiff, Tucker promptly communicated her complaints to William Waters, the owner of the restaurant who she was complaining about or trying to seek legal advice about. When the plaintiff arrived at Twin Oaks on her next scheduled workday, February 14th, William Waters informed her that her employment at the restaurant had been terminated. I find that also to be an interesting claim. So it says that he had a breach of fiduciary responsibility. I won't get into too much of this. You can easily find this. It is May versus Tucker from 2016. But I will say that Tucker moved to dismiss this lawsuit against him, and the courts denied that initial request. If there is interest in going over more of these claims, I will be happy to do that and let everybody know what the outcomes of these cases were. But I just thought it'd be interesting to kind of bring up some of the things that his lawyer has been connected to in different cases that he's worked. Again, we hope that he has a fair and proper trial and that justice is served. If either Rodger Goddard and Mr. Waldron had malicious intent in trying to track the victim in the case that he is facing right now, where he has hired the services of Alan Tucker, then I hope it is a fair but just outcome, because these situations are not taken very seriously in Georgia, and it is a very serious matter when abuse of authority is allowed to continue on. So there's the update. We'll be back.